Breakfast cereals have long been a staple on kitchen tables across the world. A quick and convenient start to the day, especially for busy families and children. But beneath the bright boxes and promises of whole grains and vitamins, there are growing concerns that some breakfast cereals may carry hidden risks. Risks that have caught the attention of scientists, consumer watchdogs, and public health advocates alike. Most notably, recent investigations have highlighted the presence of potentially carcinogenic substances in many popular cereals, sparking an urgent conversation about what's really in our morning bowl. One of the most alarming revelations comes from the presence of glyphosate, a widely used herbicide and the active ingredient in products like Roundup. Glyphosate's role in modern agriculture is undeniable. It helps control weeds and contributes to high crop yields. However, its pervasive use has led to trace residues appearing in a range of food products, with oat-based cereals like Cheerios and Quaker Oats being among the most frequently cited. Back in 2018, the Environmental Working Group, EWG, conducted tests on 45 samples of conventionally grown oats from popular breakfast cereals. The results were unsettling. More than 2/3 of these samples contained glyphosate levels that exceeded EWG's own health benchmarks, with some products showing concentrations higher than 1,000 parts per billion. To put that in perspective, these levels are significantly above what many health experts would consider safe, especially for children whose bodies are still developing. But why is glyphosate such a concern? Several respected organisations, including the World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer, have classified glyphosate as a probable human carcinogen. California state scientists have reached similar conclusions, adding to a growing body of evidence that links glyphosate exposure to an increased risk of cancer, particularly non-Hodgkin lymphoma. The debate around glyphosate safety is ongoing, but the mounting scientific consensus and legal actions have forced many to reconsider its presence in our food supply. As consumers became more aware of these risks, pressure mounted on food manufacturers to take action. In early 2020, Kellogg Company, one of the world's largest cereal producers, publicly committed to phasing out the use of glyphosate as a drying agent in its products by the end of 2025. This was seen as a positive step toward reducing potential exposure, but as of July 2025, there is no definitive public evidence that this goal has been fully realized. The lack of transparency and accountability continues to worry consumers who are seeking reassurance that their breakfast is safe. Glyphosate, however, is not the only harmful substance found in breakfast cereals. A 2024 report brought attention to other contaminants, such as mycotoxins and heavy metals. Mycotoxins are toxic compounds produced by certain types of molds that can grow on grains under specific conditions. These toxins have been associated with a range of health problems, including immune suppression and, in some cases, cancer. Heavy metals like arsenic and cadmium, which can enter the food chain through contaminated soil or water, are also recognized carcinogens when present at elevated levels over time. It's important to note that not all cereals are created equal. Some brands consistently test lower for these contaminants, while others, especially those with high levels of processing or added sugars, tend to have higher concentrations. The Environmental Working Group and similar organisations have published lists of cereals with the lowest and highest levels of glyphosate, mycotoxins and heavy metals, providing a valuable resource for consumers looking to make safer choices. Despite these unsettling findings, the story isn't entirely bleak. Recent research published in 2025 offers a more nuanced perspective on the role of breakfast cereals in health. In a large-scale study, researchers found that consumption of whole grain cereals was associated with a reduced risk of all-cause and cardiovascular disease-related mortality. This suggests that whole grains can be a beneficial part of a balanced diet, likely due to their fibre content, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. However, the study also revealed a critical caveat. The intake of sweetened cereals was linked to an increased risk of cancer-specific mortality. This highlights the dual nature of breakfast cereals. While some can support good health, others, particularly those packed with sugar and processed ingredients, can increase the risk of serious diseases, including cancer. The lesson here is clear. Not all cereals are equally risky, but the wrong choices can have significant consequences over time. What then can consumers do to protect themselves and their families? The evidence suggests several actionable steps. First, opting for organic cereals can help minimize exposure to glyphosate and other synthetic chemicals. Organic farming standards prohibit the use of most synthetic herbicides and pesticides, offering an added layer of safety. While organic products are not immune to other contaminants like mycotoxins, studies have shown that they generally contain lower levels of harmful residues. Second, it's crucial to choose cereals with minimal added sugars and limited processing. The less refined the cereal, the fewer opportunities there are for contaminants to accumulate. Whole grain cereals, oatmeal, and muesli with short ingredient lists are often safer bets than colourful, sugar-laden brands aimed at children. Third, staying informed about product recalls, independent test results, and manufacturer commitments is key. Consumer advocacy groups like the Environmental Working Group regularly update their findings and can alert households to new risks as they emerge. Supporting companies that are transparent about their sourcing and production practices encourages the food industry as a whole to prioritise safety over convenience and profit. Finally, breakfast doesn't have to revolve around cereal. A balanced meal can include a variety of foods, fruits, nuts, yogurt, eggs, or whole grain toast that are less likely to carry the same risks. Diversifying your breakfast routine not only reduces the potential for repeated exposure to harmful substances, but also supports overall nutrition and health. For parents, the stakes are especially high. Children are more susceptible to the effects of toxins because their bodies are still growing and developing. Small changes, like switching to organic or unsweetened cereals, can make a big difference in reducing cumulative exposure over time. Reading labels, avoiding cereals with long lists of artificial additives, and advocating for stronger food safety standards all contribute to a safer food environment for the next generation. It's also important to recognise that the current regulatory landscape isn't perfect. In many countries, allowable levels of glyphosate and other contaminants in food are based on outdated science or influenced by industry lobbying. This means that products considered safe by regulatory standards may still carry health risks, especially with chronic, low-level exposure over many years. Consumer demand for stricter standards, more rigorous testing, and greater corporate accountability is driving change, but progress can be slow. The global conversation about the safety of breakfast cereals is far from over. As scientific understanding evolves and new risks are uncovered, it remains essential for individuals to stay vigilant and proactive. Making informed choices, questioning marketing claims, and demanding transparency from brands are powerful tools in the fight for safer food. In conclusion, while not every bowl of cereal is a cancer risk, the evidence is clear that some breakfast cereals do contain substances linked to cancer and other health problems. The risk is greatest with highly processed, sweetened cereals, especially those made with conventionally grown grains, likely to be sprayed with glyphosate. Choosing organic, low sugar, and minimally processed options, paying attention to independent test results, and supporting responsible manufacturers are practical steps anyone can take to reduce potential dangers. Breakfast should be a time to nourish and start the day right, not a hidden gamble with your long-term health. By staying informed and making deliberate choices, you can enjoy the convenience of breakfast cereals while minimizing the risks, ensuring that your first meal of the day truly supports your well-being.